think we have everybody in the room. Good afternoon. My name is David Blackburn. I'm your Bell County Judge. We've got several things to cover this afternoon. I'm going to have or ask several folks to come up and offer some comments. The first person I'd like to ask to come up is Dr. Chadwell, who is our Director for the Bell County Public Health District. Chadwell.
Thank you, Judge. First and foremost, I wanted to go ahead and just acknowledge all of the people in this room and the employees at the Bell County Public Health District, who many of whom, some sitting here, have been operating about 24/7. So just some acknowledgement and thanks to everyone that's here, everyone that's supporting the effort. And I'm going to share some numbers with you and a little bit of information about health district operations and how we're going to make some modifications so that everyone is aware. First things first, before I share state and federal numbers, just be aware that the way reporting requirements work, reports come to the locals first, then to the state, then to the federal government, so the numbers may not always coincide. Please bear that in mind. If you want the most up-to-date numbers for Bell County, please refer to the numbers we report to you. So let's start with where Bell County sits. I know that you saw a third case reported late yesterday. We have added 2 more today. We have a table that we're going to be putting up, updating the frequency of those cases as they come in. We're going to start updating that on our website at 2 p.m. every day. We're going to do that first update after this press conference is over, and that will reflect the figures I'm sharing with you here. We're not going to share any details about our smaller cities or municipalities. If we have someone that comes positive, for example, in Rogers, that will be counted in Bell County. And that is out of respect to those dealing with this. We want to make sure that we're being respectful to them. Our larger cities, we will go ahead and say. So for now, we have 1 in Bell County jurisdiction. We have 1 in Killeen, 2 in Temple. Parker Heights is clear for the moment. Belton has 1. So that gives us our total of 5. And that's where Bell County is sitting right now. We will update again tomorrow. As for the DSHS updates, they have 697 kits that have been tested in public labs. Private labs, they're reporting out 1,210 for a total of 1,907 tests that have been run that they are reporting out today. The total cases statewide are officially reported at 83 with 2 fatalities. Again, bear in mind, local numbers are probably going to be more accurate, so refer to your locals. The CDC nationwide updates, there are 7,038 cases nationwide with 97 fatalities. It is officially in every state in the United States at this time. As for Bell County Public Health operations, we are condensing those operations due to staff that may be impacted, childcare, that kind of thing. We're also going to be locking our doors. We will still be offering services, but we're not going to be open to the public on a walk-in basis. So for our WIC division, WIC will be operating at a minimal level with doors locked to reduce contact and protect staff. Call your WIC clinic if you need WIC services, and they will arrange something for you. The same will be true for our nursing clinic. We're condensing staff down to our Temple clinic only for the time being. We will change things as we need to. The environmental health division, which includes our retail food and on-site septic, they will be operating in a similar fashion. They will be condensing temporarily to their Temple location. Please call them if you need services. They will still be there to help you. They just will not be accepting walk-ins.
Questions for Dr. Chadwell?
Can you repeat the 5 again, where exactly the residents live?
And repeat the question, please.
So he's asking that I repeat the number of cases in Bell County specifically. So we have 5 total. We have 1 in Bell County, 2 in Temple, 1 in Belton, and 1 in Killeen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Previously, we had 2 in Belton, though. We knew of 2 people.
So 1 was in the county ETJ area, not in city limits.
Okay,
Does that make
so
sense?
one we had previously designated to Belton is now designated to Bell County.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. As you may be aware, Bell County has an action plan for dealing with COVID-19. Up until today, we have been in stage 2. However, based on the recommendations from the State Department of Health and our local health district, and effective immediately, I'm moving Bell County to Stage 3 in our COVID-19 action plan. This means that all the measures of Stage 1 and Stage 2 remain in effect. Stage 3 means that a disaster declaration is being issued. Copies of that declaration and the accompanying directive are being made available as I speak. We should have some available in the room. If we don't, we'll make those available. I'm not going to read the entire text of the declaration or the directive, but I do want to highlight some of the provisions and read parts of it. This is the declaration of local state of disaster due to a public health emergency. Whereas the novel coronavirus, now designated SARS-CoV-2, which causes the disease COVID-19, has been declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization. Whereas the symptoms of COVID-19 can range from mild to severe illness and cause further complications, including death. Whereas that COVID-19 virus spreads mainly between people who are in close contact with each other through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Whereas on March 13th, the governor of the state of Texas issued a proclamation certifying COVID-19 as posing an imminent threat of disaster in the state and declaring a state of disaster for all counties in Texas. Whereas the Bell County and the Bell County Public Health District are taking extraordinary measures to prevent the spread of the potentially devastating disease that is in our community. Whereas the state of disaster requires that certain emergency protective measures be pursuant to the Texas Disaster Act of 1975 and related to emergency management and public health pursuant to Chapter 418 of the Texas Government Code. I apologize for reading some of that, but part of that is necessary for this declaration. Now, therefore, be it declared by the County Judge of Bell County, Texas, that the state of local disaster for public health emergency is hereby declared for Bell County, pursuant to Section 418.108A of the Texas Government Code. And that Section 2, pursuant to Section 418.108B of the Texas Government Code, the state of disaster for public health emergency shall continue for a period of not more than 7 days from the date of this declaration, unless approved by the Commissioners Court of Bell County, Texas. Section 3, that pursuant to Section 418.108C, the Texas Government Code, this declaration of local state of disaster for public health emergency shall be given prompt general publicity and filed with the county clerk. And in the last section, next to the last section I'm going to read, that pursuant to this section, this declaration of local state disaster activates the Bell County, Texas Emergency Management Plan and authorizes the furnishing of aid and assistance under this declaration, and authorizes and other authorizations as may be provided by state law. Section 6, that this declaration hereby limits the size of gatherings to not more than 50 people and mandates the cancellation of all gatherings of more than 50 people until further notice. A gathering is generally referred to as a scheduled event or common endeavor where more than 50 or more persons are present in a confined space, room, or area. That's the portions of the disaster declaration. The first directive that I'm issuing under that disaster declaration, entitled Directive Number 1. And again, I'm going to read portions of this, but we'll make copies available. A declaration of local state disaster due to a public health emergency associated with COVID-19 has been issued by Bell County Judge David Blackburn. In accordance with the declaration, this directive is now being issued. The virus that causes the 2019 coronavirus disease, COVID-19, is easily transmitted through person-to-person contact, and especially in group settings, and it is essential that the spread of this virus be slowed to protect the ability of the public and private health providers to handle the influx of new patients and safeguard the public health and safety. Because of the risk that healthcare authorities have identified due to the rapid spread of this virus and the need to protect the most vulnerable members of our community, this directive prohibits gathering of persons more than 50 anywhere in the county under the specified terms and conditions set forth below, beginning at midnight tonight, March 18, 2020, and continuing until such time as further directives remove such prohibition. For all gatherings not included within this directive, the Office of the County Judge and the Bell County Public Health District strongly recommend and urge actively practicing social distancing whenever and wherever possible. Additionally, the County Judge and Bell County Public Health District strongly urges individuals of high risk, those over 65 and with underlying health conditions, to cancel, reschedule, and not attend events or gatherings that will have or will likely have 10 or more people. That's following the CDC guidelines. Under the authority of state law, the following orders are hereby issued. First, public and private gatherings as defined below are prohibited anywhere in the county. Said gathering areas specifically include a restaurant, with or without drive-through services, drive-through restaurant, microbrewery, microdistillery, or winery. However, any of these establishments may continue to operate and provide takeout, delivery, or drive-through or drive-up services as may be allowed under law. Secondly, a location with alcoholic beverage consumption for an on-premise consumption license, including a bar, a lounge, a tavern, or private club. Thirdly, any indoor recreational facility, including gyms, health clubs, indoor amusement facilities, including bowling alleys, pool halls, and movie theaters. Those are the three specific areas that are identified in the directive. For purposes of this directive, a gathering is any indoor or outdoor event or convening subject to the exceptions and clarifications that I'm about to list below, that brings together or is likely to bring together 50 or more persons at the same time in a single room or a single confined enclosed space, such as an auditorium, a stadium, a tent, an arena, an event center, a music venue, a meeting hall, conference center, and other confined indoor or outdoor spaces. An outdoor gathering is limited to events in confined outdoor spaces, which means an outdoor space that is enclosed by a physical barrier or a fence or some other structure, and where people are present and they are within 6 feet of one another for extended periods of time. For purposes of clarity, a gathering does not include the following or other similar uses so long as social distancing is being practiced. First, there are spaces where 50 or more persons may be in transit or waiting for transit, such as airports, bus stations, terminals. Does not include office spaces, public or private schools, child care facilities, residences, or any type of temporary sheltering or housing. It does not include grocery stores, convenience stores, shopping centers, malls, other retail establishments where the numbers might exceed 50 or more from time to time, but where it would be unusual for people to be within 6 feet of one another for extended periods of time. And finally, this does not include hospitals and medical facilities. That's, again, relevant provisions under the directive as well as the declaration. I want to remind everyone of the action plan, the stage 1, stage 2 measures that do remain in effect. And again, the single best thing we can do is to continue to wash your hands, practice good personal hygiene, as well as stay home if you're sick. There are certainly other recommendations in stage 1. I won't go through those at this time. And stage 2, again, emphasis on actively practicing social distancing. At this point, I'll pause. I'll try to answer any questions that you might have. And I'm going to invite school superintendents, and we have several in the room, but I'm going to invite school superintendents to come up and make comments as they wish to make. But I'll pause for questions.
Will the Commissioners Court extend the order on Monday when y'all meet, or have you not decided yet?
The item is on our agenda Monday for the Commissioners Court to consider. I'm sorry, the question was, will the Commissioners Court vote to extend this order? And my response was, this item will be on the agenda for our meeting on Monday. So another hand. Yes, sir.
For restaurants, I know you say that they can only have drive-through or drive-up services. Would people be allowed inside to pick up their food, or would a restaurant representative come out to the door and hand us the food?
The question was, restaurants, if they can continue to provide delivery or drive-through or pickup service, are they going to allow customers inside to pick up? My response to that would be yes, that is permitted. That would be a pickup service. I would ask them to practice social distancing for that service. But again, pickup service, delivery service, drive-through service is not impacted by this directive. Another question?
What about like hair salons and nail places, the service-based businesses?
Again, the directive is, they're not listed on the list. I'm sorry, the question was, what about hair salons, barber shops, those types of retail establishments that do provide personal services? This directive does not exclude, or include, I should say, does not include them on the list of prohibited activities or businesses. And again, I would emphasize that what the CDC, what the State Health Department, what the local health district is recommending is actively practicing social distancing whenever and wherever possible. There are going to be situations every day where that's not possible to do. But again, the idea here is to mitigate, not eliminate. Any other questions?
Yeah, you mentioned that it's going to be currently 7-day period of time and less extended, is that correct?
The question was, this was going to be a 7-day period unless extended, and that is correct. Under state law, I have the authority as county judge to issue the declaration and directives associated with that, unless the Commissioner's Court extends that authority. And again, that item will be on their agenda Monday. Yes, sir.
Judge, in reference to places and services, we've been asked, what about the homeless population? Now that we are in a stage 3, has there been thought into what happens to the homeless and or services and places that provide access for the homeless?
Yes. The question was, has there been thought and any actions, if any, have been taken relative to our homeless population in the county? The answer to that question is yes. Bell County does have an indigent health care delivery system. We have multiple partners associated with that. There are active conversations underway about how we can best meet those needs during this time. I mentioned in the directive that housing shelters and any kind of residential unit is not subject to this directive. Any other questions? I want to say 2 more things before I ask Dr. Kraft from Killeen ISD to come up and make whatever comments he'd like to make. I really do want to remind everyone of a couple of things. First is we continue to be advised by our health authorities that the single most effective thing we can do to mitigate the spread of this virus is to practice personal hygiene and stay home if we're sick. That is the single most effective measures that we can take. So I'd urge people to continue to do that. There are other measures in the plan, but please heed the recommendations of our health authorities. Those recommendations are intended to diminish or mitigate the impact of the virus. And if we follow those recommendations, that will occur. That will occur. So please do so. The second comment I'd like to stress is that while we're facing a significant event, there remains no cause for panic. Follow the guidance of our healthcare authorities and remain calm. Please. Remaining calm is also one of our best defenses in this event. So I would urge our residents in Bell County to do that. I'd also like to mention to you the cooperation and collaboration that has been occurring and continues to occur amongst the public and private sector entities across this county, and that cooperation and collaboration has been exceptional. I very much appreciate all of the entities that I've been in contact with over the past several days, weeks really, and there have been many of those contacts. To a person and to an entity, all want to work together to mitigate the spread of the virus and do what we can, both individually and collectively, to best ensure the public health and safety. That is our singular goal and our singular objective in this entire event. So with that, I'd like to allow Dr. John Kraft from Killeen ISD to come forward and make comments.
All right, well, good afternoon. Again, thank you, Judge Blackburn. I'd like to reiterate the comments in regards to the collaborative effort that has taken place. Judge Blackburn, his staff, our own Bell County Health Department, our local leaders, our state leaders, as well as my fellow colleagues and superintendents. I think it's safe to say that this has really been an unprecedented event to navigate, and a challenging one at that. I think it's also safe to say that as public educators, it is inherent in our nature that we want kids to come to school so that we can best take care of not only their instructional needs, but their social and emotional well-being as well. And we're finding ourselves in an increasingly challenging situation to be able to do just that. I think it's been very evident that we have been focused on the objective of trying to bring students back to school as soon as possible, given that we're not placing them or our staff in any inherent risk. We find ourselves, given the circumstances that we're looking at, as you've just heard from Judge Blackburn, that it's just not feasible or possible to do so beginning next week. And so as a result, again, our colleagues, my colleagues, fellow superintendents, districts here in Bell County and here in surrounding Central Texas, which you will hear from here momentarily and soon in the local communities, that this decision has been made. We will not be opening our doors, our campuses, for instruction beginning next week. And so the closure will be extended through the 28th of March. In Killeen ISD, we are going to continually assess, analyze the situation, and of course communicate with our families and our students with the objective that we do want to try to resume classes and a schedule of normalcy just as soon as we possibly can. Again, right now, that is just not feasible looking into the future, i.e. next week. And again, each local school district is going to be working with their Board of Trustees, just as we are, to make those determinations as to when might be an appropriate timeline for that consideration. In the event that we are not able to return, and we are already in the works of being able to provide that continuity of instruction, we are going to be offering, as my colleagues are working towards, instructional support via online and alternative methods. And so each of the school districts is going to be communicating with their communities in regards to what that specifically looks like in the coming days. We feel like that it's important to offer this continuity of instruction to support our students, seeing that we do still have an instructional year remaining. But again, looking at next week, it's just not possible to open our campuses and offer instruction and resume that normalcy. And so we'll continue to communicate and allow our communities to know what to expect and what to plan for in the future. Again, we apologize for the inconvenience because we do realize in many cases, this is an inconvenience. We realize and understand that parents are having to work. We understand the significance of these decisions being made. And we don't take them lightly. But at the same time, as you've heard Judge Blackburn, you will hear our mayors reiterate public safety, health, and well-being is and will remain our priority. That being said, I'll try to field and entertain any questions.
When you say alternative methods, I guess of teaching, can you elaborate on what that means?
Absolutely. Again, we've been in the process. The question was alternative learning methods. What does that look like? What can parents expect? And I'm paraphrasing. I think that it's safe to say that we've all been engaged in the conversations really even before spring break in preparation that this day may arrive as to what online platforms would be best exercised to support all of our students' learning needs. And so individually, we're going to be proposing different online resources, as many of us actually already have. So programs like a learning management system, for instance, we're going to be using Schoology. We're also going to be using an online program known as Edgenuity. And then we're also going to be incorporating actually a blended learning type format where teachers may be recording direct instruction videos, sending them to the students or providing links for the students to log on to, and then completing assignments. So it's going to be a variety of platforms that I think are going to be implemented. I think it's safe to say across the board, but it will not entail face-to-face instruction on campus or within a classroom at this time. Again, as soon as we're able to resume that level of instruction and that schedule of instruction to normalcy, we're going to look to do so. But right now, it's just not feasible, and we're going to have to plan for alternatives. Students that don't have access to online resources, whether it be through technology devices and or accessibility through networking, we're looking at options to be able to make that available. But we're also looking at alternative assignments such as physical textbooks, packet pickups, and different alternatives in Killeen ISD. And I know that, like I say, each individual school district has really worked hard, particularly this week with their teams, to try to be as flexible as possible and create innovative solutions so that, again, that continuity of instruction is not interrupted.
Will Galena ISD continue to provide breakfast and lunches for families and students that need it?
It's a great question. The question was, will Killeen ISD, and I'm going to go ahead and answer the question, will Killeen ISD and other Central Texas school districts continue to offer breakfast and lunch as we've set up and have begun to do this week, or will begin to do this week? The answer is yes. And we will continue to gauge those numbers. In the event in Killeen ISD, if we feel like that we need and it's justified to expand those numbers to additional campuses, we'll do so. We'll mobilize quickly. We want all of our students, and again, this applies to all KISD students and or students from other school districts that they happen to be in the area within that location of the distribution point, i.e. campuses that we've listed, are in essence eligible for a free lunch and or breakfast. And so we want our students, like I say, to be well nourished during this time of recess.
And how can parents find out where those locations are?
We have all the locations published to our district webpage. Of course, we're using our social media, Facebook platform, also to communicate any changes. We'll update to the webpage. And like I say, we're obviously working to coordinate with our local media to also help push that messaging and allow parents in our communities to know where those feeding locations are.
Dr. Kraft, can you kind of talk into the decision of moving dates, what goes into that? I know you mentioned at first all those school districts are talking together. I know just within the past couple minutes, Belton ISD said they're not coming back till April the 3rd. So what kind of varies from KISD the 28th versus another district saying they're not coming back until the 3rd?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, we've all worked collaboratively. I think that it just is based on, again, our own local communities. And in assessing where we are in Killeen ISD, I just feel like that it's important to assess each week, really allowing parents to know we're here, we're not giving up by any stretch of the imagination. If we see that there's going to be an opportunity for us to resume normal classes between now and really the end of the school year or the end of this semester, we're going to try to mobilize and do so, as long as we can do so safely. And so I think that this is just one of those little caveats that we don't know exactly when that time period is. And so I think it's safe to say the dates that are being set, well, we're going to continually assess this situation and working in collaboration as we have already to make that determination. And in some cases, these closures may be extended further into the month of April, maybe even into the month of May. It's just really hard to predict at this point. Like I mentioned yesterday, this is a tremendously fluid situation, and we're all having to be flexible as we're making calculated and rational decisions.
So for parents, I'm sure there are a lot of probably watching right now, just so for parents to know that, like you just mentioned, this is fluid, so don't really get stuck on one hard date.
No, absolutely. And I think that, again, I'm going to reemphasize, the question was don't get stuck or caught on one hard date. I absolutely agree, and that's the message that we would like to convey today is just please be flexible. As Judge Blackburn indicated, we are asking our parents, please don't panic. This is not the time to panic. This is the time really to slow down, use some very rational thought processing. We've got a tremendous community, and we're going to all pull together and support one another. We've demonstrated this time and time again in any type of crisis situation. Furthermore, please be flexible. The dates that you're seeing, the closure dates that you are seeing published and pushed out to communities, even as we speak, can, and I will even go as far as to say, likely may change. We may have to modify the plan. The online resources, I will be the first to tell you in Killeen ISD, this is this is a very new initiative that we are pushing out. It will not be perfect come Monday, but we are dedicated to making it as best of a learning opportunity and experience for all of our students as possible, given the circumstances that we are currently dealing with. Yes, sir.
When will the alternative learning program start, the online learning, and have you guys discussed about extending the school year after already extending the spring break?
Absolutely. The question was, as far as the extension of the school year, has that conversation transpired, and when will the online platforms, resources be made available? I would venture to say that for Killeen ISD, we are working to have those resources available early next week. Online enrichment resources have already been made available, and they're on our district webpage. We actually have a link that has been designed, developed, and so those are available to parents to access now. I would venture to say that easily by next week, other districts in Bell County and Central Texas are going to be working towards providing those resources for next week, again, with the continuity of instruction as an objective while we're closed to be realized. The extension of the school year into the summer, we have had those conversations. I think a lot of that is going to be really contingent upon how long we are closed. We've also been on daily conference calls with the Texas Education Agency, and we're continually receiving guidance and recommendations from the agency that we're taking into consideration in regards to the current academic 2019-2020 calendar. So those decisions in Killeen ISD have not been finalized, but I believe it is going to be, I think it's safe to say that it's going to be very difficult to extend the current school year into the month of June for Killeen ISD. Thank you again. I think, again, it's safe on behalf of my colleagues. We're working hard. We're here. We want to support our students and our families. This is just a challenging time. And so, again, we appreciate your flexibility. Please remain calm. Know that we are here to support. And together, we'll get through this. I firmly believe that we're going to get through COVID-19. And when we do, we're going to come back stronger. And we're going to be ready to educate your students just as we have leading up to spring break. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kraft. I'm going to pause here for just a second and see if there's any other superintendent that wanted to make any comments. And if so, I'd welcome them to the podium. Dr. Smith.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matt Smith, Superintendent in Belton ISD. My comments will be very brief today. First of all, I want to extend thanks to our judge and our locally elected officials, including the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees. This is a trying time. Their leadership has been outstanding through all of this. And as Dr. Kraft just mentioned, the collaboration amongst all of the entities sitting in here today has been outstanding. So my message to the Belton Independent School District community is one of, we are working together. We will continue to work together to support our students and our families. We are one big unified team in all of this, and we thank everyone for their support, their hope, and their dedication to keeping our community safe in all of this time. At this time, I'll open it up for any questions. Thank you.
Dr. Ott?
Good afternoon. Being the third one up, I'm going to sound a little bit like an echo with respect to my colleagues. I do want to extend a thank you to the public for their patience at this point and calmness, and ask that they continue that. I also want to thank all of our city and county officials and my colleagues, our colleagues, superintendents from all over the county for this collaborative effort. I think there are three objectives that you hear and you would hear any other superintendent in Bell County get to in their remarks. I think the first one is the fact that objective one is we're going to continue to assess the situation and lean on our local experts. And we're also going to do what we can to mitigate and flatten spread and take those precautions, hence today's press conference. The second piece is that we are all going to do everything we can to stand up educational services, and that is not just teaching and learning. As pointed out earlier, that's food services. It's all kinds of services that school districts offer. And then number three, we are going to do everything we can to stay connected to our families and our students. I will tell you from Temple's perspective, and just to touch on a few of the questions, one being the date. We are parallel to Killeen ISD. We will monitor this situation week to week, providing our parents the next update in terms of extended closure or future extended closures on Wednesday of next week. But that's how we're going to do it, because quite honestly, I don't think anybody knows when we're coming back. It doesn't really matter what date you put out there. Everybody is going to be monitoring week to week. In terms of remote learning options, that looks different. TISD will stand ours up Tuesday, March 24th. I'm not ready to go into details right now because we don't have all of them fleshed out. And then the third thing, with respect to the calendar, just like my colleagues, we're going to stay very true to our current calendar. We have no plans on extending into the summer. And at this time, I'll open up for any questions.
Dr. Rob, so will teachers be paid? We saw Belton ISD come out and say that through a resolution. Well, what about Temple teachers? That's a big thing.
Sure. So at the last Monday's, well, let me repeat the question. Will teachers be paid in Temple ISD or continue to be paid? And I would extend that question to all staff, not just teachers. Last Monday at our board meeting, our Board of Trustees, in their wisdom, approved a resolution to make our staff whole for this week that was lost. So the answer is yes. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I want to say thanks again to the superintendents, again, for all of the hours that they have put in on behalf of our community and our children and our parents across the region and across the county. I very much appreciate your work and dedication to that. At this time, I have at least a couple of mayors here. Mayor, both of us. Yeah, both the Killeen and Temple mayor. And you're going to let Temple go first. All right, Mayor Davis, if you come forward, and I will recognize Mayor Davis and let him make a few comments.
Good afternoon, Tim Davis, Mayor over in Temple. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Cities by their nature are service organizations. We don't make anything, we provide services. And at this time, the city of Temple will do everything possible to maintain the expected level of service. Trash is going to be picked up at the regular intervals. Water will continue to flow to taps, etc. So the biggest changes are that anything that's been scheduled with the city, any sort of organized sports, the use of practice fields, any rentals that have been done at city facilities, all of those things will be canceled due to the compliance with Stage 3. But as I said, all city services will continue to be administered. One thing that's important, especially for our most vulnerable citizens, is that the water, if someone is having an issue paying their bill, water services will not be disconnected at the City of Temple. If we're asking citizens to practice good hygiene, we need to be sure and provide to them the ability to do that. So that's one decision that was made yesterday. Any city services, again, service organization, will be done either by appointment or, if possible and preferable, is to do that online. So city secretary services, any sort of reservations that might need to be made way into the future, all of those are requested to be done online. By appointment only if you have to. The police department lobby only will remain open for walk-ins, but any other city office will not be accepting walk-ins, appointments only. Let's see if there's anything else I'm missing. The Temple Public Library will be offering books and other materials to be checked out with delivery service. And obviously, any ebook services that are available, those will continue to be honored via the City of Temple website. So just like the school districts, we don't know when full services and walk-in services will be available again. Just like everybody else, we're playing it safe, and it's important that we as a community continue to do so. The City of Temple has made it a point to remain in lockstep with the county. We didn't want to get too far out in front, so we do appreciate the county's leadership and all that y'all have done. I know y'all have been working very hard in both policy making and passing on information to the city, so that's very much appreciated. I don't really have anything else at this time. Can I field any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Gura, City of Killeen.
All right, thank you, Judge, and good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the City of Killeen, as mayor, I think my job is kind of to reassure our citizens that as a city, we're doing all that we can to make sure that they're protected. So my job is really to be kind of an outreach, to get all these different sources together. So I've been fielding a lot of calls. A lot of our churches, you know, Killeen has a lot of churches, so a lot of the pastors call you, so what can we do? And so I've been kind of using the stage 2, no more than 50, and they're volunteering. You know, a lot of them ask me as mayor, you know, what can we do? And I know that the schools have shut down. A lot of parents do need help, and I've encouraged them because a lot of them have elderly at their church. So they're volunteering to do things like that, you know, take care of their elderlies. I've fielded calls from some of our grocery stores, H-E-B, Aldi has called me. They want to make sure that they don't have to shut down. So I'm glad that, you know, the judge clarified that, and I kind of told them the same thing, you know, no, you don't have to worry about it because that's important that they remain open to be able to offer those services and food to our citizens. A lot of the businesses in the Killeen area also have called me. Restaurants, I've been able to relay that message ahead of time because of the stage 2 that, you know, their dining facilities had to be shut down, but they're already practicing. So a lot of the things that we did here today with this emergency declaration, the City of Killeen has already been implemented and practicing. The only thing that we just have to step up is the question was about 50 or more gatherings, and that's it. And the bars. You know, a lot of the bars are going to be shut down. A lot of the night activity, which Killeen doesn't have too much of it. So there's not going to be a change of that, you know. But other than that, we're very supported, and the City of Killeen is going to follow suit with the judge. So when I leave here with our communication department, I'm going to sign our own declaration, and it's going to be in line with what the county is. But that's one of the good things we've been doing. We've been engaging with the county, and I just want to make sure that I reassure all the citizens of Killeen that we're doing everything we can. The City of Killeen, in my conversation with the city manager, just like Temple, everything is just working as it is. You know, there's no shortbacks, no cutbacks. I had a couple of builders call me, and they were saying that, you know, nobody's checking out their permits. And they thought that code enforcement had been shut down. And I said, no, I think maybe that's an excuse because everything's working as fine. You know, nothing has been shut down as of right now. The only thing, I take that back, the only thing that has been shut down is our senior centers. We have our senior centers, the Gilmore, the Lions Club, all that's been shut down. And I think that's key. I think the big thing, the big takeaway as a city is that we just have to make sure that our seniors are taken care of. And we're going to do that working with our local churches and working with a lot of the local nonprofits that do just that. So with that, I'm done, unless anybody has any questions. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I got 2 questions for
Sure.
you, so don't hate me. The first question is, I think Mayor Davis walked out too, with declarations like this, of course the big corporations, the big businesses are going to be fine, but as Killeen has a lot of local businesses, what's the reassurance for these local business owners, especially those who work in the service, the waiters, this can definitely affect them very hard.
And that's where the challenge is when you work in a restaurant.
Repeat the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. He said, what is the effect, what is the challenge for people that work in a restaurant? Waiters, waitresses, right?
And local business owners.
Any of the local businesses. For the most part, a lot of your local businesses, I'd say a high percentage of them are not as affected as maybe the restaurants are going to be or your bars are going to be. But, you know, delivery services, I know that's big. That's probably one of the fastest growing segments of our area. And I think that there's opportunity. If you do work as a waitress or a waiter, I think that you're going to see a lot more home delivery. So I think that, you know, there is going to be an opportunity that opens up. And I would encourage, if you work as a waiter or wait, to consider those options, because a lot of these restaurants, they're still going to remain open. They just can't have you inside eating. And so what's going to happen is, and I did that myself just yesterday, home delivered. We got a couple of companies where I did a ribbon cutting for them. I think one of them was called Waiter. And they do delivery service on, I think, every restaurant that we have in Killeen. And because of what's happening, I think you're going to see a big increase in that. So.
Second question, with Killeen having an airport, what are some of the changes that the city has made at the airport?
As of right now, excuse me, thank you, Judge. Repeat the question. The question is, Killeen has an airport. What are the changes we've made at the airport? And as of right now, I haven't heard of any changes. I know that there's some flights you can't go out of or anything like that, but I'm sure that's a discussion that's coming. But as of right now, nothing. And it would affect more of your major airlines. A lot of the employees that we have at the airport kind of work directly for American Airlines and United. But that's something that I know as a national level, that's where, you know, they're asking for assistance on the federal. So it's a conversation that I'm sure it's coming.
And I think more so as far as like cleaning and other things, has that been ramped up, I'm sure, naturally?
Yeah, they're doing, not just at the airport, that's throughout the city. The question is, how is the cleaning? You know, as far as disinfecting and things like that, they're very aware of that. When I spoke to the city manager a few days ago, that's probably the thing that they upped, you know, making sure that hygiene and all that is being done accordingly. So, anything else? We're good? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We also have Mayor Belton, Mayor Grayson here, so I'll let her have an opportunity to make some comments. Mayor?
Thank you, Judge. I just want to say thank you to Judge Blackburn and Dr. Chandler. They are not sleeping. They're staying on top of this every minute of the day, keeping us local leaders up to date on what's happening. I will be honest. In the beginning, I didn't think this was as bad as it is. I was wondering why we were making such a big deal out of it. But I'm telling you now, let's pay attention. The main thing we need to be working on is the distancing and staying away from each other so we limit the number of people that can get exposed. That doesn't mean stay away from friends and family, but from just staying 3 feet, 6 feet away from each other as much as you can in any public setting. As the mayor of a small town with a lot of small businesses who we just love and adore, I'm going to encourage you to still do trade with your small businesses. It's very important at this time that we don't lose our small businesses. They're going to suffer very much from this because of, especially the restaurants, the small restaurants. They need your business. So call in those orders, pick up curbside, do what you can to keep those people employed. And this will be our new normal for a little while, so we need to be ready for it and be prepared. As far as the city goes, all our city services are still intact. Any changes to like the restaurant closings, et cetera, that you need to know about, I would suggest you go to our city website. We'll keep it fluid, keep you in the know of what's happening. And just remember to be good neighbors to each other. Everybody has been very good. Our region we're just great partners. The judge and everybody will attest to that. But continue to be good neighbors. You have neighbors that need your help, that are elderly, that probably shouldn't be going to the grocery store. If you can help pick up for them, do that. If you have families that have to work and their kids are at home and you're getting to stay at home because you don't have that responsibility right now, help them out. help take care of the kids for them, watch them for a few hours, give them that break that they need. So if I leave with this with anything, it's just be a good neighbor. And thank y'all for doing everything you can to avoid this getting any bigger than it is. Thank you.
I think that's all of the folks we're going to recognize or give an opportunity to comment. Let me close with just a couple of things. It was mentioned, all of the entities mentioned how they're going to begin or how they are doing their public notices and public outreach and just public information and awareness. Same thing for the county. Watch the county website or the Public Health District website. That's on materials that we've already pushed out. But look for those. There are county offices that are adjusting their service delivery model across the county, and so just be on the lookout for how those offices are doing that. We're going to continue to provide services, though. Last thing I want to mention is Representative Shine is in the audience. I'm not going to ask him to come forward, but I wanted to mention just briefly as a closing example of our collaborative and cooperative arrangement that goes really across the region and across the state right now. But one day last week, I think it was, there was some concerns about, in our tax assessor collector's office, about license or vehicle registrations and that process. And the governor at that time had just extended the driver's license permitting process or renewal process for an additional, I think it was 60 days after the expiration of that without any penalty or issues. And so I picked up the phone, actually sent a couple of emails, but talked to Representative Shine and asked him if he could maybe visit with the governor's office about that and see if we couldn't extend that to licensing and title and some other work that the tax assessor's office does. The next day, the governor issued a declaration or directive that extended those timelines. Just an example, again, I think, of not just this region, but the entire state coming together as we move forward in this process. So I want to say thanks to Representative Shine for the work that he's doing at the state level. Thanks again to all of our community leaders for their help and their assistance. That concludes the press conference. All right, I'll do a couple more questions, I guess. Yes, ma'am.
Are you still planning to meet on Friday at 1 p.m.?
The question is, are we still planning to meet on Friday at 1 p.m.? As of right now, yes. We scheduled last week or advised all of you that we would do a 1 p.m. briefing, at least a 1 p.m. briefing every week, so we'll continue to do that, at least for the current moment. Yes, Jacob.
I have two questions, one for you and one for Dr. Chadwell. First one, how does the declaration affect our manufacturers and distribution centers?
The question is, how does the declaration affect manufacturing and distribution centers in the county? The short answer, the stage 3 areas that are listed there do not impact those areas directly. But what I would emphasize to not just those businesses, but every business in the community, is to put into practice the social distancing protocols that the health authorities have been recommending, so that those are in place not just in this room, for example, but across our county in businesses, retail establishments, everywhere we can. That is, again, one of the best defenses we have against the virus.
Then my other question for Dr. Chadwell. There's 2 new cases. Are they travel related? Are they community spread? Just give a little bit more detail.
So as far as all of the cases that we have here, they all have associated travel, but the guidance from the state does indicate that they feel there is community spread happening in Texas, which is why some additional measures have been taken.
Dr. real quick, about the 2 new ones, where were they traveled? Do we know where they...
If I remember correctly, and I might have to get corrected by my staff here, I do believe one had travel history through South Africa and Australia, and the other had travel history to Europe. I don't remember which country, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
When you laid this out last week, it was the 3-phase plan. We're obviously now on phase 3, and questions come up, well, what about manufacturers? And you said, this doesn't apply to them yet. Is there talk of setting more parameters for...
The question is, the Bell County COVID-19 Action Plan has 3 phases, and is there discussion or consideration about adding phases or modifying the existing phase that we're in? The short answer to that is yes. There are always discussions or considerations that I'm giving to the measures that the plan offers. Just like last week when we modified Stage 2 of the plan and inserted some recommendation or a recommendation that came out from CDC and from the Department of Health and Human Services at the state. So I would say, again, short answer is I will continue to assess the situation in consultation with the health district and our state and federal partners and make sure that our plan has all the components in it that are necessary to help mitigate the spread of the virus. All right, that's it. Thank you all.
Fridays.